Welcome to the 10th Annual Alianta Gala and Summit. Before we start the official program, would everyone stand for the singing of the national anthems? Wow. Another full house. How incredible is this? 10th Annual Gala. My name is Chang O. Turkmani. I'm the Gala chair. It's been a privilege to work with Alianza and all the supporters that we have this evening. I want to first of all thank our distinguished guests, and we have so many. Start with General Wesley Clark. So good to see you, sir. I feel like I have to salute him. We also have, he's not here yet, but we will have Assistant Secretary of State, Jim O'Brien, joining us. I'd like to thank Alianza's board members who are here tonight, John Florescu, Charles Frank, Alan Cruz, thank you so much for your support. And one who takes the distance award, of course, is Ambassador Hans Klem, who has come all the way from Japan. Thank you, sir. Now that's support. Thank you for your friendship. And of course, we have all the honorees here with us. Dr. Nawaf Salemi. Thank you. Alexandrion group. We also have, let's see, who do we have here? Barbara and Christoph Fromberger, where are you? And of course, we have General Clark here. In addition, we have so many sponsors that I'm so deeply grateful for. We have Grampet, Mr. Guria Stoica. Thank you very much for your support. Of course, Alexandrion, who's been so generous this evening. Appreciate that. Gabriel Chordash came all the way from Oradea, okay? And what can I say? It goes on and on and on. Violeta Pais, thank you so much. And also want to thank Mr. Mihai Daraban from Romanian National Chamber of Commerce. We are celebrating 160th year of the chamber, so a huge deal. So thank you very much for your support. This is a special year because we are indeed celebrating 20th anniversary of Romania joining the NATO and 10th year for us, Alianta, as an organization. Clearly, we haven't had any shortage of events this year. We had not only our elections here in this country, but we've had 4 elections in Romania. Okay, and 1 yet to come next year. So, exciting year, and what can I say for all of those, especially special friends who have come all the way from Romania, thank you so much, because I know how incredible this is. I know what it takes. My claim to fame is that I go to Romania once a month, and I've been doing that for the last 30 years. So imagine Susana, Gabriel, Alex Nazare, all those people who have come, and also from across the country here in the US as well. So, bună seara, e bine ați venit la un nou eveniment Alianța. So, în primul rând, doresc să felicit Alianța pentru cei 10 ani de la înființare. 10 ani. A fost o deosebită onoare să lucrez cu dumneavoastră și sunt profund recunoscătoare pentru sprijinul și generozitatea dumneavoastră. Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to call to the stage Ambassador Jim Rosapep for his introductory remarks. He's a chair of Alianța. And take it away, Jim.
Thank you, Chang, and thanks. That's okay for all of you coming this evening. The schedule got a little changed around because there were elections scheduled in Romania, many elections, as we all here know. And so you notice here at the Willard Hotel, there's a lot of other celebrating going on, given the time of year. So we're glad that you were able to make the time to be with us. I want to echo everything that Chang said about our thanks to our sponsors, to our supporters, to our guests from Romania, for the United States. 10 years ago, Mark Gittenstein and Dan Dimenchescu and several others got together and said, we need an organization based in Washington that's a network of networks of Americans interested in the Romanian-American partnership. And it needs to be focused not just on one issue, not just on one cause, but the overall relationship. So the idea was, it's going to be about business and investment. It's going to be about trade. It's going to be about education. It's going to be national security. It's going to be about culture. And over these 10 years, we've been active in all those areas. Some of you have participated in some of these conversation series that our board member, John Florescu, moderates and does a great job, giving visibility to issues between the United States and Romania that otherwise wouldn't get attention in both countries. We also have taken on policy issues. Obviously, the most significant one in recent years has been working with other ethnic organizations in the United States and other groups, supporting the United States government, supporting NATO, supporting Ukraine. It's important that the voice of Americans who care about Romania is in that debate, and that was part of Mark Gittenstein's vision. We also, particularly this year, but for our entire existence, have been working on visa waiver. Anybody heard of visa waiver? Well, this year, in conjunction with Banca Transylvania and the Romanian government and the U.S. Embassy, we put on a paid social media campaign aimed at Romanians who are considering coming to the United States and saying to those who have a good chance of getting a visa, get your visa now. And for those who didn't have a good chance of getting a visa, say, wait till next year. And it brought down the refusal rate. And the reports are that it was below 3%, which is the first step towards getting visa waivers. I think the decision will be made sometime next year in an official way. We're going to have a panel tomorrow about updating everyone on what's going on with visa waiver. So we're looking forward to that. But in addition to these policy issues and security issues, culture is a big piece of what we do. And so this is also the 25th, it's the 10th anniversary of Alianta, the 20th anniversary of Romania joining NATO, and the 25th anniversary of Romania's participation in the Smithsonian Folklife Festival on the Mall. And for those of you who know about this, it's not a surprise. The Smithsonian Folklife Festival draws millions of visitors every year in the summer on the Washington Mall. It's the World Series of folklife in the United States. And in 1999, Romania was one of 3 featured locations. The other 2 were South Africa and the state of New Hampshire. The participation of Romania in that was the brainstorm of a wonderful man, Dr. Elliot Sorel, who many people here, I'm sure, knew. He was a medical doctor, a psychiatrist, a proud Romanian immigrant to the United States. And he had this vision that if Romania wanted to get into NATO, Americans needed to know more about Romania. And so he convinced the Smithsonian Institution to make Romania one of the participants in the 1999 Folklife Festival. And so he brought it together, came to me and said, we need the U.S. Embassy support. And I said, absolutely. The American business community in Romania rose to the occasion. We brought Romanian craftspeople. We brought a Romanian church. This is historic. The Maramureș Church that was reconstructed on the mall for the Folklife Festival in 1990 was the first time a church had ever been on the National Mall. So it was historic for the United States. It was historic for Romania. And Dr. Sorel's vision came to pass a few years later with Romania joining NATO, which we're now celebrating the 25th anniversary. And so the Alianta board wanted to honor Dr. Sorel tonight. And sadly, he passed away about 2 months ago. And so what we decided to do is to create the Dr. Elliot Sorel Cultural Partnership Award, that every year Alianta will recognize an American who has contributed in the spirit of Dr. Sorel to the Romanian-American Cultural Partnership. And what we're going to do is have an open process. We're going to set up a committee to take nominations from around the country, and every year make an award, including a $1,000 contribution to the project or cause of the winner's choice. So I'd like us to take a moment of silence in Dr. Sorel's memory. God bless Dr. Sorel. God bless America. God bless Romania. Thank you. My next responsibility is to introduce the outstanding ambassador of Romania to the United States, Andre Mararo. I want to say, because he has come to every one of these galas since he has been here ambassador, that for this group, he needs no introduction. But I just want to say, when he came to the United States, and I met him for the first time, he said, my plan is to visit all 50 states and all the Romanian American communities in the United States. And I said, in 1960, Richard Nixon pledged when he was running for president that he would visit all 50 states. He did, and he lost the election. So just think about that. But it demonstrated the ambassador's commitment to work with people. And I have to say, and I've seen it like 3 times today, is someone will say, oh, let me show you my picture with Ambassador Mararo in my church. Let me show you my picture with Ambassador Mararo in my house. Let me show you my picture with Ambassador and my dog. And I said, So he has been everywhere. God bless him. He's a great ambassador. Ambassador, please come up here.
Thank you, Jim. So I visited so far 32 American states. So I have a little more time to think about if I would like to finish this tour or not. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. Dear Ambassador Rosapep, dear Jim, distinguished Alianta board members, dear Chang, dear General Clark, dear Assistant Secretary O'Brien, dear Jim, dear friends from Romania, Madam Advisor to the President, dear guests, friends from the United States, forgive me if I forgot someone. 10 years is not a terribly long time, but it's still long enough to leave a mark, build a legacy, make an impact. I don't know how you, Chang, Jim, and others, how you define your legacy and impact at this anniversary moment. But from my almost 4 years in the front row, I will say this. Yes, Alianta has been the host of the fanciest galas and after-gala parties here in Washington, D.C., so be aware about what's next tonight, for 10 years in a row. But what's more important is that for these 10 years in a row, Alianta has been a unique forum to nurture the closeness of this remarkable friendship between Romanians and Americans, to gather the energy and the enthusiasm of Romanian Americans from every corner of this beautiful country. And last but not least, to inspire many in Romania to embrace some of the values that Americans cherish the most: liberty, progress, and the pursuit of happiness. For 10 years in a row, Alianta has been a driving force for good in our bilateral friendship and partnership. Good in the most deep and fundamental sense, building a sense of true community and constantly encouraging and supporting the fulfillment of Romania's democratic destiny. From Mark Gittenstein and John Rakolta to Chango and Jim Rosapep, Alianta leaders have openly and relentlessly advocated for and encouraged Romanians and, of course, their leaders to champion honesty, integrity, and accountability without any compromise. I salute you for that, and I applaud. I applaud your commitment, your legacy, and your impact. And as we all know, it is precisely these values of honesty, integrity, and accountability that define the character of a successful democracy. Values that we in Romania now need to recognize perhaps more than at any other time in our recent history. Because, my dear friends, we in Romania, like you here in the States, have earned hard every single drop of our strength to protect and defend our principles and values. And this, to protect principles and values, is our sacred responsibility today, tomorrow, and always. And I say that, my friends, with a literal sense of urgency. as we are going now through perhaps the most consequential election events in our time in Romania. These are times when democracy and integrity must win, and they will win. Thank you. And fear and deception must be defeated, and they will be defeated. Because, my friends, we cannot allow undemocratic influences to infiltrate our democratic process and twist what an open, transparent, and accountable campaign should look like. For the past 35 years, so since the fall of communism, Romanians have constantly impressed America with their determination and enthusiasm for democracy, their passionate call for truth and honor from their leaders, their vision of a country that oftentimes punches above its weight. That's what won America's heart and what made the United States become the best friend and ally that Romania could ever had. And this is what gives us today the privilege to celebrate 20 years of proud NATO membership, to enjoy remarkably strong United States-Romania strategic partnership, and yes, my friends, to soon, very soon, become the 43rd country that joins the select club of the visa waiver program. Thank you. And on this last note, I would like to thank, and please stand up, my friends, to thank Jim, Chang, Mark, Dana Buchin, Radu Florescu, and Hans Klem, and so many, thank you. And so many, thank you, so many of you who have supported us over time to achieve this important milestone and make travel between Romania and the United States safer and easier. Let's continue to honor this legacy of Alianta and of so many Romanians and Americans before us. In the end, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I'm so deeply grateful to all of you who believe in Romania's unshaken, my friends, unshaken aspiration to perfect our democracy. We very much need your trust and support. Thank you and happy 10th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Muraru. He's one of my favorite ambassadors here in Washington. Of course, I say that to everyone. No, I do not say that to every ambassador, okay? He's special. So thank you so much, because he speaks from the heart. Now I would like to introduce you to Assistant Secretary of State, Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs, James O'Brien. Mr. James O'Brien assumed his role as Assistant Secretary of State for Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs in October 5, 2023. Ambassador O'Brien served as Sanctions Coordinator at the State Department beginning April 2022. He's a former career employee of the State Department and recipient of numerous performance awards, and served 2 previous U.S. administrations as a special presidential envoy. As the first presidential envoy for hostage affairs between 2015 and 2017, He helped establish the office and worked for the safe return of 100 American citizens. From 1989 to 2001, he served as a senior advisor to Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, Principal Deputy Director of Policy Planning, and Presidential Envoy to the Balkans. Over the course of his career at the State Department, he has led a large and successful sanctions program and advised on the range of issues, including peace negotiations in Europe, scientific and environmental agreements, and initiatives to investigate and prosecute persons responsible for war crimes. I'm sorry this is long, but that's because he's so important, and we are so honored to have him. So, Mr. O'Brien also negotiated agreements protecting intellectual property rights for scientific cooperation with China, very important issue, promoted environmentally sound international trade negotiations for hazardous and recyclable materials, and worked to make public-private partnerships and corporate social responsibility an important element in American foreign policy. Ambassador O'Brien was previously a founder and vice chair of Albright Stone Ridge Group, an international advisory firm. He earned the JD from Yale Law School, yay, fellow lawyer, a MA from University of Pittsburgh, and a BA from Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota, a native of Nebraska. He's also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Assistant Secretary Jim O'Brien, please, you have the stage.
It's a real honor to be here with you this evening. I was told 5 minutes, but that's a challenge, not a time limitation. I'm very, very pleased to be here for two reasons. The U.S.'s special friendship with Romania, and I'll tell you a story or two about my experience, but also because you're honoring General Clark tonight. So, Wes, I came here from a discussion with German diplomats about the Balkans. And 29 years ago, we spent weeks in Dayton, Ohio, and then months trying to solidify peace in that region. And it's held, which is a remarkable thing for any peace agreement. And I think 29 years ago, you were a 4-star general at age 18. It's pretty remarkable. But the lessons I learned from you are still relevant today. I deal every day with the largest land war in Europe since World War II in Ukraine. And we're looking at how does force and diplomacy work together. And the lessons I learned from working with Wes all those years ago play every single day when we talk about creating a space where diplomats can bring peace and that peace can be sustained. It's also the case, we see it in other regions, where the Secretary Blinken is now in Jordan and in Turkey talking about Syria. And one of the first questions asked out of the meetings he had in Jordan was, there was a very strong provision in the Dayton Agreement to deal with some of the problems confronting Syria. Can you tell us how that happened? And it was actually a provision regarding foreign fighters that Wes and I worked on at the time. So I mentioned that partly because it's a chance for us to catch up, and thank you all for watching while I do that. But it's important for all of us to remember that the lessons we bring to this work, whether it's the former ambassadors, the other diplomats in the room, or in any sector, that what we do lives on well beyond the space in which we first work on it. And that, I think, is worth all of us remembering when we look at the lessons that Andre talked about, this association, and generally all those who've contributed to the U.S.-Romania bilateral relationship. And I'll just say a couple of words about this before we turn you over to your main course. The first is, as a security partner, Romania is unsurpassed. So a few weeks after I began this latest tour in the U.S. government, I was asked to deal with a particular issue related to our sanctions, and that was that Russia had shut off Ukraine's access to the outside world. It was sitting on, at that time, about 65 million tons of grain. Ukraine was the major provider of grain to the global south. Food prices were spiking. around the world. And there were many countries saying that the war had to end, that Russia had to be given a victory simply because Ukraine wasn't able to get its grain to the outside world. So we began to work with Ukraine's neighbors to make sure this grain could get to the people who desperately needed it. And I've got to say, Romania was first stepping up to make extraordinary efforts to make sure that Ukrainian grain has been able to reach global markets. And it's done that in a way that benefits not just Ukraine and not just the recipients of the grain, but Romania itself and Moldova as well. That we are seeing an increase in traffic and trade along the Danube corridor. Small ports that handled a few hundred, a few thousand tons of grain a month were handling tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of tons of grain a month. All of that is essential to making sure that needy people around the world can be fed, that Ukraine is able to withstand Russia's aggression. And Romania has done that in a way that geography allowed it the opportunity, but it took real political will and a willingness to stand up to the aggressor. And that is fundamentally what allies and partners do together. So I'm really proud to have played a small role in seeing Romania act as a contributor, a huge contributor to the security of Europe. And that's been a really welcome development of just the last few years. So as a partner, as an ally in NATO, and a partner more broadly in seeing democracy and freedom be defended, Romania stands without anyone surpassing it in the U.S. partnerships. Now, I mentioned this has economic benefit, and I want to reflect just for a moment on how far we've come. When we look at the work that other ambassadors have done since Jim Rosapep's time, the time of Al Moses, Hans Klempt, and now through to Mark Gittenstein, with whom I work every day in his current role, we've seen enormous changes in Romania. I began to work extensively in Romania a bit in the 90s, and then a lot in private business in 2002, 2003, 2004. After Romania joined the European Union, the changes are remarkable. So we see GDP has quadrupled. We see that US investment in Romania has more than trebled. And I see around me the evidence of wealth and opportunity for Romania's citizens that was really beyond the imagination of people working in the country in the 90s and early 2000s. So per capita income in Romania now sits at 80% of the EU average. It was 44% just over 15 years ago. That is a change in the opportunity that future generations will have. And we need to see that we build on that in the way that we firm up the partnership between the US and Romania. But those are just numbers. And I want to talk briefly about the challenge in front of us. And Ambassador Moraro mentioned that we need to see democracy triumph in Romania. And I want to offer a word or two about the US perspective on this. So, as all of you know, Romania will rerun the presidential election. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves that we're facing two kinds of challenges. And once again, Romania is in the vanguard of helping the West, of helping the European Union, the NATO alliance, address both these challenges. One challenge is from outside the system. Russian and other actors who want to hack our systems, create chaos, and try to prey upon the weakness and the anger of many of the citizens of our country. And we need together to find a way to uncover what is happening, illuminate it, and help our citizens educate themselves so that they don't fall prey to simple stories or rosy tales that are offered as solutions to the problems they have in their lives. That's something we will work on with Romania between now and the election, but even beyond the election, so that together we're able to have a citizenry that is fully informed, but also accurately informed, and able to make decisions that it needs. That's a challenge for us. And in this regard, the other challenge is we have to admit, in one way, we are at the end of the enthusiasm that greeted the collapse of the socialist bloc. People now measure their lives not by whether they are better than their parents or grandparents, but by whether they feel good, to themselves and their dreams of a few years ago, or whether they seem as good as the people who have benefited extraordinarily from the growth of freedom and private sector opportunity. That makes a lot of people angry. And it's on us, those of us who believe in the system, who believe in the rule of law, who believe in the promise that freedom brings to people, to persuade people to invest more in themselves and more in the system that has grown up over the last years. When I say system, I don't mean anything that is governing every part of someone's lives, but I mean the principle that everyone gets an opportunity, and that with the proper education and freedom, they will be able to take advantage of that opportunity, make themselves richer, and contribute to their societies so that they are more free. What we saw in Romania was in part a reaction to outside manipulation and attempt to hack the system, but it was also an expression by a number of citizens that they are tired and a bit angry and want to see some real change from their politicians. Those of us who want to be a part of the answer to that, this is a clarion call that the parties of the system, the parties that have been in power, need to respond to what people most demand. There are great signs. I mentioned positive economic statistics. I think what is happening with, likely soon, the visa waiver program, certainly the membership in Schengen, now allows people to have a real opportunity to have perspectives and experiences that would have been inconceivable 35 years ago. But it's on all of us to persuade people that they should continue to be committed to that process. That's the challenge we have over the next months. Now, I'm a few weeks away from being promoted to being a citizen. And in my limited time left in the office, I am going to spend time working with the authorities in Romania to make sure that the next election is prepared well, that there's a lot of international help to address both of these challenges, so that any observer can look at the election and say, this was run well, it was fair, and the outcome supported democracy and the commitments Romania has undertaken to the EU and to NATO. But that's the choice of the Romanian people. I will work to do what the US can, and then as a private citizen, I'm going to cheer Romania on and do what I can from outside to make sure that that promise is fulfilled. So with that, my promise to you is fulfilled because you're done with your salads and it's time to go on to the main course. And I really thank you for sharing this time with me.
Thank you so much, Assistant Secretary Jim O'Brien. Thank you for your inspiring words. At this time, we would like to proceed to the awards ceremony. The first award is International Public Service Award, presented by Jim Rosapep.
General Wesley Clark, a decorated leader, visionary strategist, and a steadfast advocate for global security. From the front lines of military operations to the diplomatic corridors of NATO, his legacy continues to inspire. Born in Chicago and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, Clark graduated as valedictorian from the United States Military Academy at West Point. A Rhodes Scholar, he pursued advanced studies at Oxford University, demonstrating academic excellence that would complement his military acumen. General Clark's military career spanned over 3 decades. Rising through the ranks, he demonstrated exceptional leadership in pivotal roles, earning honors including the Silver Star, Bronze Star, and Purple Heart for his service in Vietnam. In 1997, General Clark was appointed NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, where he led 19 allied nations in one of the most significant military operations of the post-Cold War era. Under his command, NATO's Operation Allied Force in Kosovo secured peace and stability in the region, showcasing the alliance's strength and unity. General Clark played a pivotal role in advocating for NATO's eastward expansion, recognizing Romania's strategic importance to the alliance. His support helped pave the way for Romania's accession to NATO, strengthening the transatlantic partnership. After retiring from the military, General Clark continued to champion global security and diplomacy. Through his work with think tanks, public speaking, and advisory roles, he remains a powerful voice for collaboration and peace. As we celebrate 20 years since Romania joined NATO, we honor General Wesley Clark, a leader whose vision and dedication have left an indelible mark on history.
What I want to say is that when we decided we wanted to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Romania joining NATO, a number of us said, you know who we ought to honor is Wes Clark. And I was like, of course. I worked very closely with General Clark during the war in Kosovo. I was the ambassador during the lead up to, as I always say, my first year was the lead up to the war in Kosovo. My second year was the war in Kosovo. My third year was the results of the war in Kosovo. I had no military experience and still had no military experience. 95% of what I know about military stuff I learned in those 3 years, largely from General Clark. And Jim O'Brien talked about what he learned from General Clark and the Dayton Accords and the mixture of diplomacy and force, which is very difficult to do, as we all know. And General Clark is a world-class expert on that. Now, I worked with General Clark. I would say we talked on the phone maybe every 3 weeks during the 3-month war about something. Now, I have some good stories that I'm going to tell in the after party, but I'm not going to tell them right now. But look forward to talking in the after party. But what I want to say is, what I learned from General Clark and the way he approached as NATO commander working with Romania for the United States and for all the NATO allies during the war was why NATO works, which I never understood before. What I saw General Clark do, all his dealings with Romania during the war particularly, but before and after as well, but particularly during the war, was showing so much respect for the Romanian military. It was not like, I'm the American and you're the Romanians and here's what we want to do. It was like, we're all in this together. You know a lot more about this area than I do, so what do I need to know? And he knew people because through NATO, the countries in the region, not just NATO members, the military leaders get to know each other. Number two is, he also showed so much respect for Romanian political leaders. And I say this very honestly, there are military leaders I've worked with who do not have the respect for the political leaders that General Clark does. He understood that NATO is a military and political alliance, and they go together, just like Jim O'Brien said. So I learned, most of what I know about NATO I learned from General Clark, and so it's such an honor to be able to present this award. General Clark, please come up and accept the award. Thank you. We're get a picture here someplace? There we are. Please say a few words. Absolutely, go for it.
Well, thank you very much, Jim and Chang and Jim O'Brien for his kind words, and Ambassador for your warm remarks. And it's so great to be here and see so many old friends and talk about these important issues. I had a wonderful time with Romania when I was NATO commander, and I was lucky enough to work with many of you in Romania from 2012 to 2016. And it's just great to see the progress. But I want to share with you 3 or 4 key things that I took away from Romania. First of all, I was a big fan of President Constantinescu. He was a real leader. He was a man of courage, he was a man of vision, and he was a man of history. And when I made my first visit there in 1998, he took me up to the hunting lodge. As we were driving up to the hunting lodge, he pointed out, he said, that mountain, he said, that's where your CIA put the agents. Every month, a new agent would parachute in, and he would be captured. He would be interrogated. He would bring in the next agent, and then he would be shot. It was really a sobering thought. Now, that information on that program has all come out now, but at that time, Americans didn't really understand what the Eisenhower administration had tried to do with the rollback strategy. We lost a lot of good men. We tried really hard to bring freedom and democracy to Eastern Europe in the 1950s, and we weren't very successful. But we tried, and President Constantinescu knew it and appreciated it and educated me, and I learned a lot from him. On that same visit, I had dinner hosted by Minister Babiuch, and Jim, you were there. And I asked him, as we were talking about things, I had to be careful because I didn't want to solicit. I'd already been warned by the Secretary of Defense that, we weren't going to have any more NATO enlargement. He told me to stop talking about it, okay? But I had already had people approaching me and asking for it, and I found a way to ask Minister Babiuch what he thought about NATO. And I said, have you thought about NATO enlargement? He said, yes, we have. I said, well, would you, if NATO were going to enlarge again, would you want to be in NATO? He said, yes, we do. I said, well, we were going out of our way to be nice to Russia. We'd created the NATO-Russia Council. And President Clinton had a relationship with Boris Yeltsin. Vice President Gore had a relationship with Viktor Chernomyrdin. And so I had a Russian two-star working for me in my headquarters who was there to maintain command and control of a Russian battalion that was in Bosnia as part of the NATO force under separate chain of command, of course, going through this Russian two-star. So I asked this question very carefully of Minister Babiuch because I didn't want to be leading the witness, so to speak. But I said, well, does it have anything to do with Russia? He said, yes, of course. I said, well, are there some incidents that people in Washington may not understand? Are there any specific incidents you could cite that I could explain to people kind of the feelings here? I expected him to say something like, yes, at the last conference, the Russian ambassador shoved me in the men's room or something like this. He said, there are many incidents. He said, in 1878, he said, Russia came through our country to deploy forces and they took our province of Bessarabia. It's true. It's true. There were many incidents then and in World War I and so forth. Someone gave me a book on Romania written by a scholar, and the title of it was Friends Like These, because Romania has always been a very special country in a very difficult part of the world. And when I traveled there, I always felt like I was, right next door to the Italian peninsula. But there's a lot of terrain and a lot of other groups in between. I've had great Italian food in Romania. And it's just, it's an entirely different country. But it's a country of incredible courage and vision. You've got great business. You've got great software engineers. You've got a very well-educated group of people there. I think the business future is bright. But I will always remember my colleague, General Desideratou, because he was a very well-educated, a very soft-spoken man. And when we were really in trouble in Kosovo, he helped us. The first thing he did was he went with me. We saw President Constantinescu, and we asked Romania to give us their airspace so that we could fly through Romanian airspace and come in from the back door and surprise the Serbs in Kosovo. The whole idea in that campaign was escalation dominance. You had to convince Milosevic he couldn't win. He's a rational man. Once he realized he couldn't win, he's going to give up. But he's a stubborn man. And so we had to escalate the airstrikes, and one way to do it was not only to come in over the Adriatic, but to come around behind and spread his air defense and so forth. And Romania was very generous in that, and also in closing the border. To win a war, you have to isolate the theater of operations. And Romania was very faithful in doing that. And so on the 10th of June, we finally got the UN Security Council resolution that ended the war. Milosevic has signed it. Jim O'Brien was one of the key people working with Madeleine Albright to get that done. And Viktor Chernomyrdin and Finnish President Ahtisaari were there and persuaded Milosevic to sign. He pulled out all his forces. He agreed you know, you're going to let a UN mission go into Kosovo. So I came, I finally, when it was signed, it was about 8 o'clock at night in Europe. But I was told it was going to be signed, so I actually left my headquarters. I was on the golf course. And Javier Solana called me, and he said, he was a NATO Secretary General, he said, Wes, he said, they said it could not be done with air power. You did it. He said, you will be my friend for life. No one ever told me I'd be their friend for life. Not even my wife. But I shot my lowest score ever in golf that night. So I got a good night's sleep. The next morning I came to the office and they said, the Russian battalion in Bosnia is crossing the Drina. And so it was a crisis for NATO. It was, Putin was behind it, actually. Yes, Vladimir Putin, yes, even then, he was behind it. And the idea was to run down, seize the Pristina airfield, embarrass NATO and split Kosovo, take over the north part and where the minerals are. I can't explain it. It's a mercantilist attitude, but for some reason it was all about the mineral wealth of northern Kosovo. And so anyway, we went through that day, and sure enough, the Russians went there, and the next day we waited anxiously for the Americans to get there. And before the Americans and NATO could get there, the Russian battalion was there, and there was a big scene with Michael Jackson, who was a British officer, and he said, okay, I don't want to start a problem here. And he backed off, and and on Sunday, we knew that the Russians were loading their aircraft to bring in several additional regiments of airborne soldiers. Now, don't ask me how we knew this, because I can't tell you. But we knew, and we even knew what units they were. And so we had a real problem on our hands. And so, but the Russians were still not quite where they are today. And so they actually asked. Well, they went to Hungary first, and they said, "Give us overflight so we can fly our reinforcements into Pristina. The Ukrainians have already given it to us." They'd already been to Ukraine and said, "You may as well give us oversight because the Hungarians have given us oversight." And the Ukrainians said, "Oh, okay." Hungary said no. Then they went to Romania. They went in, and it was a Sunday. General Desideratou was there. And the military attaché went in and put his finger in Desideratou's chest and said, "You give us overflight of Romania or else." Desideratou said no. He said no. And he was threatened in many ways. And he stood up to it and he said no. And you know, that's a pretty tough thing if you are a Romanian general and you've grown up under the gun of the Warsaw Pact, and that's how you got your start, and you realize everything about Russia, the history, the brutality, the determination, the long memories. Desideratou was a courageous man, and he, Andras Shimony in Hungary, and Boyko Noev in Bulgaria, each challenged by the Russians, each said no. They saved the NATO mission in Kosovo. They ended the Russian effort to disrupt everything. Of course, Putin made sure that General Ivanov, the Russian three-star behind all this, got a medal, but it was a medal for nothing. And after a couple of years in Kosovo, the Russians gave up on it and left. It didn't do anything. So Romania had a vital role to play, and it still wasn't in NATO. And I made sure that people in the United States, to the best of my knowledge, could understand how important Romania was. I look at Romania today, and I'm so proud of Romania. Of course, you're a member of NATO. Thank goodness for that. But more than that, what you're doing in the region is so significant. You've accepted the U.S. base there and supported it well. You're accepting Romanian refugees God help us. I hope we don't have any more, but we don't know what's going to happen. You've borne the brunt of many propaganda efforts to disrupt Romania. You're helping Ukraine export its grain at great cost. You're facing across the estuary Transnistria, which still has the remnants of the Soviet 14th Army there, 3 brigades, and you're keeping a watch on all of that for NATO, and you're cooperating closely with Ukraine in ways I'm not going to discuss here. I just want to say that thank goodness for Romania. It's a great country, it's a great people, and we love you for being with us in NATO. Thank you very much for this award. It's a great honor. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to be your friend forever. God bless Romania. And God bless General Wesley Clark. You're a hero. So the second award goes to none other than Dr. Nawaf Salemi for wait, you don't even know what he's getting an award for. He's getting an award for business and business innovation and entrepreneurship award. So, I would say I'm a business person as well, but not only does he have clearly a brilliant business acumen, but he's really, I would say, the embodiment of what commercial diplomacy is all about. So it is a distinct pleasure to present this Business Innovation and Entrepreneurship Award to Dr. Salemi. He's a founder and chairman of Nawaf Salemi Family Office that includes companies operating in various industries, Alexandrion Group, of course, with spirit and all kinds of, I think he has like 75 SKUs or something just absolutely amazing. And you have seen the bottles displayed outside. Incredible, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful products. He's into hospitality. He's into renewable energy. He's into fossil fuel production, sustainable agricultural development, and so on and so forth. And thank you for your support. We have 21 folks from Alexandrion joining us this evening. Huge support. He is a Romanian citizen. He's been living in Romania for more than 40 years. You beat me by 6 years. A country where he studied medicine and he started his business. A devout Christian, and there's some other titles that goes with it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So, and as a strong supporter of Romanian values reflected in the operations and projects of his Alexandrion Foundation. Strongly involved in supporting those affected by war in Ukraine. He's clearly known for his humanitarian help, as well as the victims of massive earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria in February 23. So, Dr. Salemi is a forward thinker, a businessman with innovative mindset who initiated and coordinated very ambitious projects, such as launch of the first single malt whiskey in Romania. Who would have thought Romania producing single malt whiskey? Come on, let's be serious. Now, I love whiskey. I especially like single malt whiskey. And he certainly does have very fine products. So Carpathian single malt whiskey is really brilliant, I have to say. So congratulations for that. He, what can I say? He has generously provided all the wine that we're consuming this evening. White, rosé, red, of course. And so I'm truly impressed with an extraordinary range of high-quality spirits and wine that he produces. We extend our heartfelt congratulations to Alexandrion Group and for Dr. Nawaf Salemi for this very well-deserved recognition for all he has done for Romania, and look forward to witnessing their continued success in the years to come. Thank you so much. I'd like to present this award to you.
Mulțumesc. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bună seara. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, my team, they give me, before I come here, 3 pages of speech and I make small notice. Nick told me, take it. I said, okay. I speak daily last 30 years, 35 years for language. So it's difficult for me to take and read immediately. So always I like to speak free. I will say about my relationship with Romania, with NATO, with US. I came to Romania at the age of 17 years old, immigrated from Syria, moving from one dictator to another dictator in Romania. So from father of dictator Bashar to the dictator Ceausescu. And after 19, we enjoyed the freedom, finally. I enjoy with the Romanian very tough times, but also I enjoy the good times. I became citizenship immediately after 1990. I do all my duty like citizenship, doing my army, doing everything in Romania, and I am proud of that. In 2000, when we started to be deep and look after to enjoy NATO, that time was when in our TV, very famous, owned by American company at that time, ProTV, was a very nice serial named Pro Vest, led by Bogdan Chiliac, very famous journalist of Romania. I started from 2000 to 2007 to invest every year $200,000 to support and to promote Romania to enjoy NATO. That time, everybody said, what we are doing, what it means. I said, NATO for Romania is like to pay health insurance and to wish not to use it never. But it's come now, an invasion of Russia to Romania. Everybody was scared, everybody wanted to leave, and I was relaxed because we are part of NATO, and thank God. Also, I support Romania to enjoy Europe. Again, I am happy for that, but I wish I'm not fan of all Europe. Part of Europe is good for us, but some part of Europe is not good for Romania. When I started to, the relationship with US started to be part of delegation by His Excellency Ambassador Hans, and I thank him for that, and the program Select Invest US, who I try to convince my government and my Romanian authority to copy-paste this program of Select Invest in Romania also. So, and I end up to started investing in upstate of New York. Big investment. Today, me and my director of Whiskey Allen, we chose to start it. First year will be $50 million investment, and every year will be up to $100 million for the next another 5 years. We are lucky because we can do investment in US and go with the product from here globally. I think US, it's have done a lot of relationship with Romania, help us to enjoy NATO. We are a strategic partner. When I launched the first single malt and I put Romania on the map, we become friend 5 countries in the world, US, UK, Ireland, Romania, and the single malt. I launched the product here at the embassy, at his home of Mr. Ambassador Andre Moraru. And we celebrate our strategic partner 20 years together. So we are, I think, show ourselves, we sacrifice our country, our interests to support NATO, to save Ukraine from not to be taken over by Russian. We save Moldova not to taken by Russian, and we help NATO around Kosovo. We say from His Excellency the General about all this stuff, but I think we forget to look after ourselves and our country. But TikTok problem also exists also in US, not only in Romania. TikTok is supporting by Chinese army, everybody know that. So TikTok, they managed to penetrate it also in Romania through Russia together with Chinese, but the problem not only in our country and also your country, they have big problem with TikTok. So help us to take rid of this problem. So yes, we have very tough years, election, but it's our part of the democracy. We enjoy the democracy and let us enjoy this democracy. And sometimes if we'll do some mistake, we need to stop the mistake to happen and to go again in the freedom. How they said, Mr. Ambassador, we need to go in our way. For that, some people, 1,000 people die in the communist time and after to get the freedom of the country. So again, what we need now, we know that Ukraine there will be end of the war. At one solution, 2 countries, 3 countries, 10 countries will be finished. If not will be Ukraine part of NATO and will not be part of Europe, then nobody will invest in Ukraine. Then everybody need to invest in Romania to deal and to do business in Ukraine. So we invite all of you, all American companies, come to Romania to invest. I will help you with 1,500 people and many companies. I am here to receive this award with almost 20 people from almost 20 countries. We are activating in up to almost in 100 countries. So come to Romania to invest and have companies in Romania. We are a great country, great economy. We have GDP of 350 billion euro. We have turnover of 700 billion euro. So if we will let us, Chinese and Russian, to see our life, I think in few years we can pass and we can be the biggest and the greatest economy in Europe. So come please to Romania to invest and help us to come stronger and stronger. Again, thank you very much for this award, and God bless you and bless America and bless Romania.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to present the last award for this evening. I would like to invite one of our board members, John Florescu, to present the next award. John?
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry to disappoint the moment when you can speak. I spoil what everybody's been waiting for, a chance to chat with each other. But anyways, we have an award to give tonight to two individuals who Sustainability Award. And I think we'll first watch the video and then.
Across all of Europe's lands and waters, mountains and forests, there's one country that stands out from its exceptional biodiversity and unrivaled wilderness. Nested along the Black Sea, cradled by the Danube, and crowned by the Carpathian Mountains, it has the most unfragmented forests of the entire continent, the green heart of Europe. Romania. It is home to the EU's largest populations of bears, wolves, lynxes, and, for the very first time in 2 centuries, bison. Their reintroduction into the Făgăraș Mountains was made possible by Foundation Conservation Carpathia. Since their beginnings, the FCC has protected over 27,000 hectares of habitat, an area already bigger than most national parks in Europe, by purchasing forests and putting them under permanent protection to safeguard them for future generations. The Foundation is also protecting nearly 3 times that area for wildlife, free of sport or trophy hunting. This includes more than 1,000 hectares clear-cut by illegal logging, which have been purchased and restored thanks to the replanting of over 3 million saplings, lovingly grown across the FCC's 9 nurseries and carried, at times, even by foot or by hooves, to the most inaccessible corners of the Făgăraș Mountains. More than 200 locals make a full-time living from their work with Foundation Conservation Carpathia, and another 150 are hired for seasonal work. Rangers, farmers, breeders, biologists, eco-tour guides. Around them are also local producers, whose food is being distributed nationally through the FCC's food hub, the elderly who receive this food for free during hard times, farmers and shepherds who can summon rangers in minutes in case of bear intrusions, or receive electric fences and Carpathian dogs for better protection, or even instant livestock replacements thanks to the Foundation's dedicated reserves. And at the forefront of this local but international effort are also students, teachers, and volunteers, all taking steps to creating a place where wildlife and humans can coexist. Propelled by this growing green economy, an entire ecosystem is taking root across the 28 communities surrounding what has the potential to become the biggest and most beautiful forest national park in Europe. The entire European public is less than 4 hours away. And with a fifth of the total tourism industry already being in ecotourism, the Romanian Carpathians could easily attract millions of visitors in the next few years and even become the center of ecotourism in Europe. But for such an opportunity to be channeled properly, in a sustainable and transparent way, benefiting all stakeholders involved, from landowners and neighbors to nature itself, we need an ambitious and accountable national plan, owned by all Romanians. The Făgăraș National Park of Romania. Such a park, an entire ecosystem that simultaneously preserves nature while making it accessible to all, is the only viable way to keep 30% of our planet wild, as is needed for humans to survive. With 80% of all terrestrial species living in forests, it is also one crucial answer to the extinction crisis we're facing. And when, in 2020, the number of big companies who promised to become net zero by 2030 tripled, increasing even more the carbon value of the planet's few remaining virgin forests, it becomes clear that Romania has a unique potential and can still achieve what nobody else in Europe can. The Carpathian forests, which take every year 4 tons of carbon per hectare out of the atmosphere and continue to accumulate carbon for over 1,000 years, are priceless. In fact, they're worth something that all the gold in the world could hardly ever buy: time. And in this particular time, this path, this park, is not just a necessity. It's a privilege, a fleeting chance, for which every second counts.
I don't think I have to add anything to that film, except to say that the little I know of the two from Austria, in an hour interview once and a few minutes tonight, is that they're courageous, they have fortitude, they're persevering, and they've set an example not just for Romania, but for outside, from which they've drawn enormous support across the United States. The New York Times said that they're creating the second Yosemite Park in Europe. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite them up.
Well, thank you very much, John. We also brought you a book. It's just just fresh from the press, from the printing. It's about the people, the animals, and the forests of the Făgăraș Mountains. And whoever is interested, let us know. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your evening. Thank you very much, John, for these very kind words. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I have to say we feel really honored to receive this award in the name of our entire team. And that's a team that grew in the past 15 years from the two of us to now over 150 very dedicated, passionate people that actually get up every morning, put up their sleeves, and go to work hard to protect what I think is probably the most beautiful country in Europe, definitely. In this video, you just got a little glimpse of the natural beauty, but I invite you all that haven't been there to come and see these beautiful mountains, the beautiful forests, and alpine areas. It's a real gem in Europe. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank all those that are supporting this project, and many of those are actually here in the US. The project was actually started with the Wyss Foundation, the generous support of the Wyss Foundation, an American foundation. They saw the value of the Fagarash Mountains, and you know, it's the financial support, but it's also contacts and expertise that we get supported with. And without this support, it wouldn't be possible to run such a big project. So thank you to all of those that are supporting this project already. So the two of us are not Romanians. I'm Austrian, Christoph is German. But we are living now since more than 30 years in Romania, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And we are very proud and we feel very privileged, actually, that we can spearhead this project, an initiative that puts the Fagarash Mountains on a global map, I would say. And we try to do that by creating a national park that can become what we call the Yellowstone of Europe.
Yeah, so Alianta is all about cooperation between Romania and the United States. And as Barbara said, we have had a lot of very, very close relation to the United States from the very, very beginning. The Wyss Foundation, based here in Washington, D.C., was the first organization that believed in us, that trusted us. The Wyss Foundation has by now supported this project with more than 70 million euro. So that is a big, big contribution. At the same time now, in the last couple of years, we have been traveling to the US. We have been visiting colleagues of ours in the US, other conservation organizations. They have been coming to us to see what we are doing. And I think I can be very proudly say we have learned a lot from what our colleagues in the United States were doing, and they've learned a lot of what our people in Romania are doing. We have also established partnership with organizations like Yellowstone Forever. We visited the Yellowstone National Park on a study trip this autumn. They're going to come to see us next year. So I think being here at the Alianza, at this Romanian-American partnership, we're in the right place. We have now, thanks to Sherban and Michel and their support, we have just recently created an organization here in the United States, Friends of Conservation Carpathia in the United States, a 501c3 organization. And we get often asked by people, how can we get involved? How can we support you? Here you go. There is a possibility now. We have a presence within the United States where there's not a lot of European organizations that have that presence. We have it, and we're very proud of it, and we're sure that we will develop this cooperation between Romania and the United States on the conservation level a lot in the next couple of years. Thank you very much.
Christoph, Barbara, you guys are so inspirational. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, this sort of concludes the official part of the gala this evening. I just want to thank so many people here this evening. What can I say? Thank you to all the board members of Alianza. This is where I thank everybody. Thank God, my wife, not my husband. I want to give a special thanks to the director of our communications, Raluca Bucur. If it wasn't for Raluca, I would not have been able to pull this off. So thank you so much. I want to thank Gabi Sandos for always helping me every year with the gala. Thank you so much. Armand, I'm just not going to pronounce your last name because you have like the longest last name ever. So, but he helped us. He helped us bring all this wonderful spirits and wine from Romania. So thank you so much for your annual support. Really, really, really grateful for your support. Thank you for all the friends of Alianza. Radu Florescu, welcome. Wajiha, thank you. And all the volunteers and the hotel, of course. Most of all, without generous sponsors and supporters, money talks, guys, okay? I am so truly grateful for generous contributions from our sponsors. Gabi, Chordash, thank you. Your friendship means a lot. Alexandrion, of course, Dr. Salemi, for bringing all your wonderful team tonight. Gruya, I'm sorry you're not here with us, but thank you so much, Grampet, for your generous support. Larry Hirsch, what can I say? The list goes on. Romanian Chamber of Commerce, Violeta, we have so many others. Francis Tyler, thank you very much for your annual support. I don't know where you are, but. And something that I have not done in the previous years, by the way, this is my 8th Gala chair position. I do want to thank someone that I have not thanked in all these 8 years that I've been the Gala chair, and that's my husband. He put up with me day after day, night after night, when I'm constantly begging for money. And so thank you for your support. You know, you're supposed to thank your spouses, okay? So once again, this is, I also want to recognize and thank Ambassador Sakuda, who has always given me his support in putting together our summit. We're not done this evening, okay? Tomorrow is a very important day for us. It's really our summit, where we do have a very thought-provoking panels and panelists that have come from very far and near. So 9:30, upstairs in a beautiful historical Willard room, which was also very expensive. So 9:30, please come to the summit, okay? I look forward to seeing you again next year, and enjoy your evening. Thank you so much.